Chioma's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. 3 missed calls from Amara, then 4. Then a text that made her blood run cold. Please tell me you didn't give him the money. But she had. 2 hours ago. Every last one in her savings account, transferred to Junho's name for his visa emergency. And now he wasn't answering her calls either. 3 months earlier, Chioma had walked into that cafe in Hongdae with nothing on her mind but getting her usual iced Americano before her evening Korean class. She was 26, working as an English teacher in Seoul, living her dream of experiencing Korea after years of watching K-dramas back in Lagos. Life was simple, predictable, safe. Then she saw him. Junho was sitting by the window, sunlight catching the angles of his face as he concentrated on his laptop. When he looked up and their eyes met, he smiled. Not the polite Korean smile she'd gotten used to, the one that was more obligation than warmth. This smile reached his eyes. "Excuse me," he said in perfect English as she waited for her order. "I don't usually do this, but I noticed you're reading Chimamanda Adichie. Americana?" Chioma glanced down at the book in her hand, surprised. "You know it?" "I love her work. Half of a Yellow Sun changed my life." He gestured to the empty chair across from him. "Would you like to sit? I promise I'm not weird. Just a Nigerian literature fan who happens to be Korean." That's how it started. One coffee turned into 3 hours of conversation. Junho told her about his semester studying in South Africa, how African literature had opened his eyes to stories he'd never encountered in Korean education. "You get it," he said, leaning forward with an intensity that made Chioma's heart skip. What it's like to not quite fit, to be foreign even in familiar spaces. She did get it. God, she got it so much it hurt. They exchanged numbers. He texted her that night. "Thank you for reminding me why I love Seoul. It's better with you in it." Chioma screenshot the message and sent it to Amara, her closest friend in Seoul, another Nigerian woman who'd been teaching in Korea for 5 years. Amara's response came quickly. "Girl, be careful." "Why? He seems sweet. They always do it first. Just take it slow, okay?" But slow wasn't in Chioma's vocabulary when it came to Junho. Within 2 weeks, they were inseparable. He took her to hidden restaurants in neighborhoods she'd never explored, taught her Korean phrases beyond the textbook basics, held her hand on the subway without caring who stared. In a country where she often felt invisible or hypervisible depending on the day, Junho made her feel seen in exactly the right way. "My parents are traditional," he explained one evening as they walked along the Han River. "They won't understand us at first. But I don't care. I'm done living for other people's expectations." Chioma's chest swelled. She'd never met someone who seemed so certain, so willing to choose her despite the complications. When she finally introduced him to Amara at a samgyeopsal restaurant in Itaewon, she expected her friend to be happy for her. Instead, Amara was quiet through most of the dinner, studying Junho with an expression Chioma couldn't quite read. "So, Junho," Amara said as they grilled meat over the table's flame. "What do you do?" "I'm between jobs right now," he said smoothly. "I was working at a marketing firm, but I'm looking for something more meaningful. Maybe something international." "International how?" "I've always wanted to work abroad. My visa situation makes it complicated, but I'm figuring it out." Amara's eyes flickered to Chioma, then back to Junho. "Visa situation?" "My work visa expired when I left my last job. I'm on a tourist visa now, which means I need to find sponsored work or—" He trailed off, reaching for Chioma's hand across the table. "Or find another way to stay." After Junho left to use the bathroom, Amara leaned across the table. "Chi, tell me you see what's happening here." "What are you talking about?" "The visa thing. It's always the visa thing." Chioma pulled her hand back. "So what?" "He mentioned his visa situation. That doesn't mean anything." "It means everything. I've seen this before. Foreign woman, Korean guy with visa problems, suddenly he's in love." "Stop." Chioma's voice was sharp. "You don't know him." "And you do? After 2 weeks? You're just jealous that I found someone." The words hung in the air between them like smoke. Amara sat back, her face unreadable. "You're right," Amara said quietly. "I don't know him, but I know this city, and I know how this story goes." They barely spoke for the rest of dinner. Over the next month, Chioma pushed Amara's warnings to the back of her mind. She was too busy falling in love. Junho was attentive in ways that made her previous relationships seem shallow. He remembered how she took her coffee. He noticed when she was tired and insisted she rest while he cooked dinner in her tiny apartment. He listened, really listened, when she talked about feeling homesick, about the microaggressions she faced teaching at her Hagwon, about her dreams of maybe staying in Korea long term, or maybe moving back to Nigeria, or maybe trying somewhere entirely new. Wherever you go, he whispered one night as they lay tangled in her sheets, I want to go with you. It was perfect. Too perfect, maybe, but Chioma didn't want to be the kind of person who questioned happiness when it finally showed up. Then came the questions. They started casually, woven into normal conversations. Do you know how marriage laws work here? Like if a foreigner marries a Korean citizen? Juno asked one evening while they watched a movie. Not really. Why? Just curious. I have a friend dealing with it. A week later, how long does it take to get a marriage visa? My friend, the one I mentioned, he's stressing about the timeline. I don't know, Junho. You could Google it. Right. Yeah, of course. But the questions kept coming. Casual, curious, just wondering. Chioma might have brushed it off completely if Amara hadn't called her one Tuesday afternoon, her voice tight with something Chioma couldn't name. Can you meet me? Now? They met at a coffee shop near Chioma's apartment. Amara didn't waste time with pleasantries. She pulled out her phone and opened Instagram. I need you to look at something, and I need you to really look. Okay? Don't just dismiss it. The profile belonged to a woman named Keisha, African American, based in Seoul, pretty smile. Amara scrolled through the photos until she found one from 8 months ago. Keisha and Junho, his arm around her shoulders, both of them grinning at Namsan Tower. Chioma's stomach dropped. Who is this? His ex-girlfriend. I did some digging after we had dinner. Found her through a mutual friend. Amara kept scrolling. More photos. Junho and Keisha at a noraebang. At the beach. At what looked like a family gathering. Then Amara stopped on a post from 6 months ago. Keisha's face was tear-streaked in a bathroom selfie. The caption read, When you realize you were never a girlfriend, just a green card. Chioma felt like she couldn't breathe. That doesn't mean Junho wouldn't. Chi. Amara's voice was gentle now. Look at the timeline. He dated her, got his visa situation sorted through her somehow, then disappeared. Now he's with you, asking the same questions. You don't know that's what happened. Then ask him. But Chioma couldn't. Because asking meant acknowledging the possibility that Amara was right. And if Amara was right, that meant everything Junho had said, everything Chioma had felt, was built on a lie. So she didn't ask. She pushed it down deep into the part of herself that preferred beautiful lies to ugly truths. 2 weeks later, Junho came to her apartment in a panic. His visa was expiring sooner than he thought. He needed to apply for an extension, but it required a sponsor or proof of financial stability he didn't have. He was facing deportation. I don't know what to do, he said, pacing her small living room. I need 3 million won for the application fees and lawyer consultation. I've been saving, but I'm short. I hate asking, but Chi, you're the only person I can turn to. 3 million won. About $2,000. Every bit of savings Chioma had managed to scrape together from her teaching salary. I'll pay you back as soon as the visa comes through and I can work again. I promise. I just need a little help to get through this. Chioma looked at the man she loved, or thought she loved, or wanted to love. He looked desperate, vulnerable, real. Okay, she heard herself say. I'll help you. His face transformed with relief. He pulled her into his arms, held her so tight she could feel his heart racing. Thank you. God, thank you. I'll make this up to you. I swear. She transferred the money that afternoon. Junho kissed her forehead and promised to take her somewhere special once his visa was sorted. Somewhere she'd always wanted to go. He'd make everything worth it. That was the last time she saw him in person. At first, she told herself he was just busy with the visa process. But his texts became shorter, his calls less frequent. When she suggested meeting for dinner, he had an excuse. When she showed up at his apartment, he wasn't there. When she called, he said he was dealing with family stuff and needed space. Just a few more days, he promised. Once this visa thing is resolved, everything goes back to normal. But nothing went back to normal. The truth came in pieces, each one sharper than the last. A mutual friend saw him at a cafe in Gangnam with a Korean woman holding hands. Another friend sent Chioma a screenshot of his Instagram story, a photo she wasn't tagged in, with a woman she didn't recognize. Then, Amara found his new relationship status on Facebook. In a relationship with Park Minji. Chioma looked up Park Minji. Pretty. Korean. Definitely not her. She tried calling Junho 17 times. He answered on the 18th. I'm sorry, he said, his voice flat, tired, like he'd had this conversation before. I didn't mean for it to happen this way. For what to happen? Juno? What's going on? I can't do this anymore. Us. It's too complicated. Complicated? You said you told me you didn't care what people thought. You said you wanted to be with me. Silence. Then I wanted to. I really did. But my family and my visa situation got resolved, and Minji and I have history, and it just makes more sense for everyone. The words landed like punches. Your visa got resolved? How? More silence. Did you use my money for that visa, Junho? I'll pay you back. That's not what I asked. Chioma, please don't make this harder than it is. I care about you. I do. But... She hung up. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold the phone. The apartment felt too small suddenly. Too quiet. Too full of memories of him. The corner of the couch where he'd sit, and the mug he'd use for coffee. The extra toothbrush in her bathroom. She should have listened to Amara. She should have asked questions. She should have trusted the instinct that whispered something was wrong, even as her heart insisted everything was right. For 3 days, Chioma barely left her apartment. She called in sick to work, ignored messages from friends, existed in a fog of humiliation and heartbreak. She kept replaying every conversation, looking for the moment she should have seen it coming. The signs had been there. Amara had shown her the signs. But she'd chosen to be blind. On the 4th day, her phone rang. Amara's name on the screen. Chioma almost didn't answer. The shame was too heavy. How could she face her friend after dismissing every warning, after choosing a man who'd used her over the person who tried to protect her? But she answered. Chi. Amara's voice was soft. Are you okay? And just like that, Chioma broke. The tears came in waves, angry, embarrassed, heartbroken tears. She told Amara everything. The money, the ghosting, the new girlfriend, how stupid she felt, how used, how completely and utterly foolish. Amara listened. Didn't say I told you so. Didn't lecture. Just listened. Where are you? Amara finally asked. Home. I'm coming over. Have you eaten? I don't. I'm bringing food. Don't argue. 40 minutes later, Amara showed up with kimbap, teokbokki, and soju. She didn't ask permission, just walked in, started unpacking food, and pulled Chioma into a hug that lasted long enough for Chioma to cry again. They ate in silence at first. Then Amara spoke. I'm sorry this happened to you. You warned me. I did. But that doesn't mean I wanted to be right. Amara poured them both shots of soju. You loved him. Or you loved who you thought he was. That's not stupid. That's just being human. I should have listened to you. Yeah, you should have. But you also shouldn't have had to. He shouldn't have done this to you. That's on him, not you. They drank. The soju burned going down, sharp and clarifying. Amara reached across the table and squeezed her hand. You want to feel less stupid, less used, less like you lost something you can't get back. Can I? The money? Maybe not. Your time? No. But your dignity? Your ability to trust again? Yeah, that you get back. It just takes time. They finished the bottle of soju. Amara stayed the night, sleeping on Chioma's couch, close enough that Chioma didn't feel quite so alone. Over the next few weeks, Amara checked in daily, sometimes with texts. Did you eat? Sometimes with surprise visits. I brought coffee. Let's sit. Sometimes just by existing as proof that not everyone would hurt her. Slowly, Chioma started feeling human again. The shame didn't disappear, but it became something she could carry. She went back to work, started seeing friends, deleted Junho's number and blocked him on every platform. One evening, a month after everything fell apart, Chioma and Amara sat on the bank of the Han River, watching the sunset paint the water gold. I owe you an apology, Chioma said. You don't. I do. I called you jealous. I dismissed everything you said because I wanted to believe he was different. Amara was quiet for a moment. Then, you know what I realized? The person trying to warn you isn't trying to ruin your happiness. They're trying to protect it. Because they love you enough to risk you hating them. I didn't hate you. I'm sorry I didn't listen. I'm sorry you had to learn this way. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For being right. For being here. For not saying, told you so. Amara bumped her shoulder against Chioma's. That's what friends do. We catch each other when we fall, even when we watched you run toward the edge. You know what I learned from my experience? Sometimes the person warning you loves you more than the person you're running toward. Romantic love is loud and exciting, but real love, friend love, is quiet and steady. It's the person who shows up after the loud love leaves. And maybe that was the real love story